Hi friends, my name is Premasim Jain and now we'll look at the maps in Go. How do they work? So map is equivalent to the dictionary in Python, and we also have map in Java. So how this looks like, basically it's a key and a value pair. For example, if you have fruits or animals, let's say if you have animals, then the name of the animal and let's say it's sound. So this is what you will put in the map so that you can get it by the key and then you will get the value. There are like a lot of use cases for that, for the maps. And the struct is also look similar to this, like wherein you have a key and a value, but there are some differences which we'll cover at the end. Let's first see how to create a map, right? So let's do it hands-on. So I have a variable called as map, and in here we call it as map, no big deal. Now in the map I have to define the key, because when we retrieve the key we use angular bracket to name the key, and then whatever would be the value we would say is at that. So it is like you have to define upfront. It's like generics in Java. So you cannot put string instead of like you cannot put int instead of string. So this is how your declaration, so it will initialize and declare here. Now you have to put in some value. So how do we put it? For example, the name of my map is fruits. Sorry, not here, but here, fruits. So I would say the fruit name and then its color, the corresponding color. So I have a mango and colon, and mango looks kind of yellow. So this is how is the first entry. Now for second entry, let's say I have apple, and in my case this apple is red. Now in map, like in each line you have this comma to finish, because once we cut and then this value is here and then we get error and lot of drama. So how Go made it, like for each line you can have the comma at the end, no problem, no compilation issue. And I like that way actually. So we have defined a map. Now how to print it? So we have to import the package fmt and then would say print and then we would say fruits, and we can run it real quick. So this runs and looks like a little bit weird. So if we have to print it nicely, what do we do? So can we iterate it? How do we iterate it? So typically in Java, what you do is you have to get the key set, and then you have to iterate over the key set, and based on each key you have to get the value, and then you have to compare or print or do the logic. So it's a lot of work. In Go they made it like simple, super simple. You might or might not key. So how would the syntax look like? Let's see here. So you have, we'll do this function print map, which will take the argument variable as C, for example, and the map. So it is defining the type of whatever is our argument. And then when we loop it, so basically the C is the map, which is here, and with the range function, it provides the iterator. Once you have the iterator, of course, there are two things, which is a key and a value. So you can have the key here and the value. So let's define our function and then let's try to print it nicely. So you have to do func in Go and then you say iterate map, iter map. So what does it take? So it takes an argument of, let's say, amp. So in Golang, they try to use the short variable names, not like, because as a programmer, when you type, you're more interested in going faster than like typing a blah blah name and like making it big. So now we have it here. So how do we iterate it, right? So as we saw here that we can use the for loop here. So we have a for loop and then I say a key and a value. Now I have to define both these values. So what do I do? Both these values will be initialized with the map. So we'll say range. So we are using the range function that would come as part of map. see here. So this is how it is. So we have the key and a value which would get initialized at every iteration from the element, whatever are the number of elements in map. So it says red because these are two unused variables. So let's try to use both of them. So we say fmt dot print, and p is capital print, oops, and we say key and value, and there you go. So we'll pass out this thing here. We say iterate map and pass our fruits and run this guy. So we see this looks nice, neat and nice, each line below each line, right? Now, for example, if you don't want to use key, so in other programming languages like Java, you're forced to get the key set and then do a for loop. And as I told you before, then you have to get the value based on the key from the map. Here you even don't need, no one even bothers. So see, this syntax is so clean, and this is so short, and you are able to get the same result. So that's what I love about Go programming, that they made it like really crisp for the developers like me, like for all of us who likes writing crisp code. Now, if we run same thing, whenever you don't use anything, you can use underscore. That's how Go says, because it's based on performance and they don't want to leak any energy memory. So if you're not using a variable and you're still holding the space, it's no point. So it gives you the error at the compilation. So you can ignore it by the underscore. Now let's try to look at if we have to remove value from this. So it's not complex, that you don't have to import some util methods or collection interface class and this and that like in Java. So what you would do here is you just call a delete method wherever you are without importing anything. And then with the delete, you would have your fruits, and then in the I mean a map which we have fruits here, fruits, and then you can pass in whatever the value. For example, I want to remove mango, so my mango are supposed to get removed and then should get printed, and let's see it in action. So first we saw red and yellow, but second time when we iterated, I saw only red. Now coming back to the point when you have to make a struct versus this. So before that also you can define it like where, let's say animals, you can make it of type map, then you can give it a key, for example, a string, and then the value could be the int, and then you can define it here, and then you can also do a print of uh, uh, animals, and you can add few value animals, and you can add few values here. For example, I have a dog, and dog's max life is supposed to be 15 years, for example, just giving you an example. So you're defining it here. So this is like another way wherein you can use the where. So technically you could do it like this. Let me show you. So this is where you have defined, and then to put the value, what you could do is you can do animals, and then what animal, you can do a dog, and then what would be the max life for this, for example 15 years. So this syntax also goes fine, like it goes really fine. That's why if you see the map, it's angular bracket for the key and the value. So I love this syntax, it's simple and precise, but when you're trying to do it with this, it looks like a struct. So if you would like to care about, so let me show you. We are having a type of uh, animals, for example, and this animal is of uh, type struct, and then you can define the key and the value. So first key, I can have the color, and I would tell it as integer, and second I could have the age, integer. Sorry, color was string and this is int. So observe one thing, that here when you are creating the structure, you have the same kind of keys and same kind of values. That is why you are getting this automatic iterator as well. But with struct, you have different kind of keys. One is of type string, another is type int, and stuff like that. So mainly think of it as an object with different attributes where you need to create a struct. And map is and when you have to have the same keys and the same value and you need the iterator. That's how it happens. And then with the struct, the problem is when you try to update it, you need to use pointer, because struct, when it's copied by value, like in general, whatever the Go does. But with the maps, it is kind of reference, not exactly reference, but the map underlying thing referred to the actual underlying uh, mm, uh, data structure. So even though it passes by the value, but the reference are not changed. So if you make any change in the map, it reflects really well. I can give you the example here. For example, for the fruit apple, you have golden apple or a green apple. So what you would do is you have fruits, and then you're saying the apple, and if you will tell it the color as green, it would get updated. Like you don't have to use pointers as you are needed to use it when you're trying to do it with struct. So it gave us panic because of this. Yeah, so this is another thing, that you cannot initialize something which is nil. So in Java you have null, and in Python you have none, and in JavaScript you has undefined or nan. So in Golang they call it as nil. So how to get rid of this stuff? So what you do is if you have to initialize a empty thing, then there is a method which is called as a make. So you have to call it as make, and then you can assign it here. So this way, this will initialize the map with the empty values, so the map is not null. And then if you are assigning any values, then it would print it nice. So if you run it, it would run nicely. So let me give you a quick recap. You're trying to make a map. So in the Angular bracket, you would give the whatever is the type of keys, and then whatever is the type of value. You define it. It goes in similar to the generics in Java. You can put the value. You can iterate it using the iterator, which is the like the normal for loop. So we did it here in the for loop. We were able to do it. When you have to delete it, you can just pass the map and whatever the key you want to delete it. When you need to update it, you can just get the value by the key, and then you can assign the new value. So we saw here the CRUD operations for the map, and I hope you liked it. Please like and share this Golang tutorial with all the friends, because there are not very many Go tutorials and developers right now, and we have to help our Golang developers community. So share with all of the people, and provide your feedback. That would be appreciated. Thanks a lot.